This story is wow.
It's incredible.
I would encourage you, because it's long, to
length doesn't matter though.
Yeah. I would encourage you to check out Pete Nakos' story at On3 because it is a very detailed story about Jaden Rashada.
This is going to be incredible if we can get this whole story into this segment.
Let me try and hit the high points.
All right.
16 months ago, Florida released Jaden Rashada from his NIL. I'm sorry, his NLI, his National Letter of Intent.
Right.
Following a highly publicized NIL-fueled breakup. Now that separation is at the center of a lawsuit, writes Pete Nakos. At the heart of the split was a 4-year, $13.85 million contract that was the primary reason that Rashada decommitted from from Miami,
right,
and committed to Florida.
Right.
He ended up going to Arizona State.
Yes.
He now is at Georgia.
Right.
He's been everywhere, man.
Yes. He's been everywhere.
Write the song.
Yeah.
The people that are being sued in this lawsuit are Florida head football coach Billy Napier, as if he doesn't have enough to worry about right now. He needs to win football games.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Also, Marcus Castro Walker, who was the Florida Director of NIL and Player Engagement, but no longer is, and University of Florida booster Hugh Hathcock, and Hathcock's former company, Velocity Automotive, which was the vehicle through which the financial package was to be funneled.
Every word you just said sounds made up, by the way. Every single word of that sounds not real.
Like, who plays Hugh Hathcock in the movie? Seth Rogen? We're going to get you to come to Florida.
Val Kilmer?
No. Maybe like prime Val Kilmer, not now.
Yeah.
Too old.
On3 is still trying to get comments from all the defendants.
Yeah, good luck with that. You let me know how that goes, Pete.
The lawsuit alleges that the goals of the defendants, Napier, hyphenated last name, and Hathcock, I don't remember the last name, I don't even feel like scrolling back to it, were twofold. One, to ensure that Jaden remained committed to UF, and two, to avoid paying the promised NIL funds. Defendants knew that for most college athletes, the prospect of NIL earnings is life-changing. Defendants exploited this fact for their own personal advantage. You have to remember that prior to signing with Florida, Jaden Rashada signed a $9.5 million NIL deal with Miami booster John Ruiz.
That's right.
Who was later paid $150,000 by Rashada to get out of the contract. I actually think that's an important piece of this deal.
Yes.
Rashada was engaged in an NIL deal that was a contract, and they negotiated a buyout.
Yes.
And he had to pay $150,000 to get a buyout.
Correct.
Which would speak to the Rashadas believing that it was a legally enforceable contract.
A Florida booster gave a Florida commitment money to pay a Miami booster.
Oh, was it the Florida booster that gave him the $150,000?
Yes. That's what's alleged.
Oh, the cash was provided by Hathcock so that the quarterback could avoid litigation.
Yes.
So Hathcock himself believed that a lawsuit was coming.
Yes.
For Rashada breaking his NIL contract and his commitment to Miami.
Correct.
And then Hathcock goes on to renege on the money that he promised Jaden Rashada to come to Florida.
Right.
The suit says talks with Florida reignited roughly 4 months after Florida had initially offered Jaden Rashada a significant NIL deal. When Castro Walker reached out to Rashada's agents in October of 2022. And according to the suit, the former director of player engagement sent a text message that says, "We need to lock down Jaden. UF would want Jaden to flip this week." Negotiations between Hathcock, Castro Walker, and Rashada's representation started shortly thereafter. As part of the $13.85 million contract they eventually agreed upon, Hathcock was going to pay $5.35 million, including a $500,000 signing bonus through his company, Velocity Automotive. If you fast forward to National Signing Day, Jaden Rashada's first payment was scheduled for December 5th in the amount of $500,000, the signing bonus. That payment never materialized despite multiple reassurances. On December 6th, the day after the bonus was due, the Gator Collective terminated the contract in a letter that they sent to Rashada. And then National Signing Day was December 21st. The quarterback had still not received payment. And so Rashada delayed the signature. Billy Napier vouched for the veracity of the booster, saying, look, you're going to get your money, you're going to get your money, saying that he would receive $1 million if he signed with Florida on National Signing Day. Despite the threats and promises, the lawsuit reads, neither Coach Napier nor wealthy boosters like Hathcock ever got it done for Jaden. They are suing based on fraud, false promises, and there was some other legalese in there.
Do you know what the most amazing part of this story is to me? It doesn't involve State or Ole Miss. This is the most State and Ole Miss story ever. I can't believe this isn't a story of, Leo Lewis or Jeff Simmons or whoever in all this.
But you know why this isn't a State or Ole Miss story? Because the people in charge of the collectives at State or Ole Miss would never
are not idiots.
Do that.
I would like to point out, by the way, that in the story there's the quote that Rashada went to Kirby Smart and told him of his intention to sue, and Kirby Smart gave him his blessing. You think? You think Kirby Smart was like, yes, by all means, sue the University of Florida? Hey, I can't. He's like, can I be a witness? Like, I don't know anything about this deal, but I do know that Billy Napier's a moron.
Somebody suggests that we allow Tim Tebow to play the role of Hugh Hathcock.
Jaden, I'm going to get you your money.
We probably need to spend a little more time on this. Sports Talk Mississippi with you and the Pearl. I wonder what legal minds think, right? I mean, how much merit is there to this lawsuit? We've seen a lot of players winning against the NCAA. This was filed in the Northern District of Florida. And is this a situation where Jaden Rashada is going to win? I'm really interested to see.
If I remember correctly, when the contract was terminated, it was reported that there was a clause in the contract that said the Florida collective could terminate it for any reason at any time. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so maybe I'm wrong here, but if that's in the contract, well, despite it being really shady business practices that has cost Florida in reputation, among other things, since then, if that's the contract you signed, how can you sue for breaching the contract that said that it can break at any time for no reason?
Yes, I understand completely what you're saying there. The thing that stands out to me, though, is if promises were made and based on those promises made, action was taken that resulted in a loss of income, and then they didn't follow through on their end of the deal, at least up to that point, it feels like there could be some recourse there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Maybe you're not on the hook for $13.85 million over the course of 4 years, but you convinced a kid in good faith to leave. Tortuous interference is one of the deals that they're suing for, to leave his existing deal that was going to pay him $9.5 million, and you promised him that if you do that, we're going to give you a $500,000 signing bonus, and you promised we're going to pay you $1 million on National Signing Day, and you didn't follow through on any of those things. It feels to me like that's where you could say, yeah, there's some recourse here for Rashada.
I think you and I know enough about lawsuits and know enough about how these things work that he's going to get some money. There's going to be a settlement. They don't want any of this to go to court, and it's going to go from there. He's going to get some money out of this.
He deserves money out of it. See, I read a couple of different stories about this, and maybe Florida's able to wiggle their way out of this somehow, but don't promise
It's
somebody...
not Florida, though. It's not Florida.
Right,
it's Napier and it's individuals. It's not the University of Florida.
The representatives involved here. Because somebody on the text line said, tough crap, he should have stayed at Miami. Now, I understand what you're saying, but if somebody were to give me a contract in which they say they are going to compensate me a certain amount of money, and I never receive that money that I was promised, then I'm doing the same thing that Rashad is doing, and I hope he wins this. Don't promise somebody $13 million and write it in a contract if you don't intend to pay it. So if Billy Napier really promised him $1 million on signing day and he didn't get it, Billy Napier owes him $1 million. If the Gator Collective really wrote up a contract worth $13 million and he didn't get some amount of that money, whatever he was owed at the time, then they should give that to him. Don't make, what's the expression? Never write a check your tush can't cash. Florida learned about writing checks that their tush could not cash, and they backed out of it because they were too broke to afford it.
Is this the for cause that gets Napier out?
Ooh.
Doesn't that make sense, right? Now they can go into the season, and if they do what I think they're going to do, and that's start 1-3, they could just move on and be like, well, this lawsuit and everything else, we're going to fire you for cause.
I hate my friend for texting me this. UF gets off the hook with Napier contract, and we get to start hearing the Kiffin to UF rumors from now through January.
It's great content. I tend to agree with you guys on Kiffin to Florida.
Who's that?
You. Why? Why would he go? Better positioned right now.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. We've talked about this in the past. I mean, not to talk about a where does Lane Kiffin go thing, because goodness gracious, that story's been told 100 times, but Ole Miss is a better job than Florida is right now.
Yeah.
Will it be forever? I don't know. I did the Florida spring game this year. Billy Napier was – I enjoyed my visit with Billy Napier, and one of the things that he talked about was that their collective organization was really buttoned up now. But he also admitted that it was a train wreck, stumbling, bumbling mess. My words, not his, out of the gates. Mm-hmm. And that they have finally gotten to a place where and I can't remember what it's called, the Go Gator Collective or something like that. Mm-hmm. What was her name? Maybe it's the Congresswoman Corinne Brown Memorial Gator Fund.
I believe that's correct.
Anyway, so we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I mean, that's if Billy Napier, goodness gracious, think about that though. If Billy Napier is being sued by a football player on another team who is now in his conference,
and his biggest rival,
yes, for lying and not following through on a guaranteed NIL payment,
how can he continue to recruit?
Does that give Florida cause to fire him?
Because now how do you continue to recruit? Every coach is going to point, well, that guy, whatever promises he makes you, You can't believe them. Look at this lawsuit. Yes, that's going to be the for cause.
But the for cause isn't because he can't recruit.
No, it's because he's not a good enough coach to win.
Yeah.
But that's the truth about almost every for cause. I mean, for every now and then there's one you're like, okay, yeah, that was a reason to fire him. But 9 times out of 10,
I can think of one.
I can think of one right off the top of my head. But 9 times out of 10, it's just like, hey, we just got lucky. We got lucky that this idiot who wasn't winning enough games gave us a reason to fire him.
And by the way, my reason or your reason wouldn't be the same. Costing your university,
Right.
yeah, millions and millions and millions of dollars seems like a reason.
Yeah.
To. Somebody said,